Hello everyone. So welcome to my next episode on the crypto investing series. So a quick look at the price chart for some of the cryptos that we have been suggesting, or I've been saying that what I've been buying or what my portfolio is, and how they've been performing in the last 1 month, especially in this week, because it's been a mini bull run, I would say, this week. A lot of currencies, a lot of cryptos have done well. So let's quickly look at how some of the cryptos that we've been talking about in my series have performed. Also, people who've been following on Twitter would have known this. In the last 10 or 12 days, I tweeted about a crypto coin called DNT, District 0x, which has probably done about 800% after I had tweeted, 10 days back, till the point that it went up. So we'll talk about that as well. I'll show an example and why it probably makes more sense to follow me on Twitter, because sometimes I can't make those quick updates on YouTube. It takes time to make a video. But if you follow me on Twitter, you can probably get a bit more frequent update on cryptos that I buy, or I probably notice where there is a possibility of a higher movement. So let's look at the video. So this is the tweet that I made on November 5th when DNT got listed in Coinbase. So any coin that gets listed in Coinbase is treated as an acknowledgement of the coin's worth, or the future. And so any coin that gets recognized by Coinbase and gets listed in Coinbase generally shoots up, or generally has a good run. But this one, I tweeted on November 5th saying that DNT District X, which is like a marketplace coin, went up about like 130%. I had a very small holding in it comparatively, to the other portfolio. It was a very small holding, but I still tweeted about it saying that it had done about a 130% decent run on November 5th. And a couple of days later, after I had tweeted about it, and I even suggested to some people that it's still going to probably continue a good run. It went up to nearly about 3 pence from 1 pence. It was roughly about 0.006 pence, like less than 1 rupee, and it went up to about around 1 rupee on November 5th, and it went up to about 3 rupees or 3 pence on November 8th, about 340% roughly. Obviously, if you go to the charts, any price chart, CoinStats or any other price chart, you can see the whole history that I'm talking about. You can follow the whole price pattern and compare it to the tweets that I'm talking about. So, you don't have to just take my word for it that it actually went up. So it went up to about 343%, and it dropped back to 0.17, or rather, dropped back to the 1 rupee range. And I said that it probably is still a good profit. Even if it just goes back to the above the price that it had done in the first couple of days. And incidentally, it did about 683%. It went up to roughly about 5 pence, or almost 6 pence, which was or 5 rupees or 6 rupees, I should say. So from about 1 rupee from the time that I tweeted first time, in a span of like 2 or 3 days, it went up to nearly about 683%, roughly 700%, I should say. I had been tweeting about it almost like 3 days in a row, from November 5th to November 8th. And that time I even suggested that you should start banking your profit. And this is the scenario that I've been already explaining, that you need to top slice, you need to start selling to realize profit. Otherwise the profit just sits on a paper profit. So I called it at roughly at around 0.057 pence, or like 5 pence range, or 6 pence when it was up, right about touching the 6 pence range, saying that you need to start taking your profit. And it went roughly about 800% in total over that period of week. It roughly did about 812% in that whole week from the point that it started. And the total profit that it made in that 1 month, or the 2 weeks range, I would say. And eventually it started dropping after that. That was probably the peak price when I said that you need to start taking profits, you need to start banking your profits. And I was selling my profits. But I was basically doing a sell and a buy, because it was going up and going down. And I'll talk about this. I'll show it with a demo in the next video, with how we could probably do a bit of day trading when you see this kind of pattern. Long-term charts probably don't work for crypto that I have seen, but short-term charts show the volume, and it's probably easier to do a bit of day trading. And I'll show it with a bit of demo in the next video, show the tools that I use, or show the wallets that I use for day trading, either manually or using an automatic limit price for that matter. So it actually went up and down for over a period of like 1 week. It kept going up and down, and I probably did nearly about 50 buys and 50 sells, where I was buying at a lower price and selling at a higher price. And I'll explain this, show the demo of how I did it, show you, what kind of profits that you could probably expect when you do something like this. That's why it is important when to look at a short-term chart, okay, especially when you notice something that is going up and down quite frequently and it's following a pattern, especially when there is volume there. If there is no volume, there is no point, because the pattern could stop at any point of time. But there was a lot of volume. Probably the volume was higher than the market capital, which is what I had explained in the Twitter, that it was market capital of 20 million pounds, but the volume was nearly about 40 million pounds, which means that more people are buying the entire available stock, available crypto, and selling it than the market capital. So it was highly moving at that point of time. So eventually it came down from the peak price to about, roughly it is sitting at around 0.03 pence, or 3.5 pence, I would say. But it's still a good value. This is an example of what some of these altcoins can do when compared to what I've been explaining in my episode 1 and episode 2 about market capital, about available supply, and about utilitarian values. And this is a perfect example of what such altcoins can do. Like it did about 800%. You cannot expect something like this out of Bitcoin, purely because of the market capital, purely because of the utilitarian value of the crypto itself and the available supply that is out there. So that's basically a very good example of how you can keep up to date with something that moves so quickly, and then don't lose an opportunity. It was probably impractical to know about DNT before it even started a move, because I had, like I said, if I had known that it is going to do 800%, I would have probably had more than what I had in that. I had like roughly around 150 pounds, but I would have probably put a lot more than that. Obviously, a few other questions, housekeeping questions. Bitrue, I heard a bit of a feedback that people haven't done their mobile verification yet, or they haven't done their ID verification yet. I think it is very important, because when you have a Bitrue account, especially, it is optional to do an ID verification and mobile verification, like I said, but it is very, very important to do it, because otherwise you'll probably have a difficulty withdrawing it. And to do the ID verification is very simple. You hold your ID card in one hand and a Bitrue paper on another hand with a date written on it, and that helps you get the ID verification done. And if you haven't done it, I highly encourage you to do it. Also, Bitrue had an access issue this week, which people had asked me about. If you followed Bitrue on Twitter, again, there was a very good update about it, that it was a DNS issue, domain naming server issue, where any website, right, if you go to google.com, for example, there is a domain naming server that takes you to the website. It's like an address router. That's the domain naming server that they had an issue with. It wasn't essentially to do with Bitrue service or the Bitrue server itself. So I didn't have an access issue for that matter. It was only the countries from where they were accessing that particular DNS that had an issue. So a few people had asked me, they're still probably not able to access Bitrue, because a lot of people store the crypto addresses or the URLs in their favorites or in their history, and then they access it from the history. So it is very important to clear your cache and clear your internet browser history quite often, because especially when you're dealing with crypto, especially when you're dealing with these kind of secure logins, don't always store them in your favorites. Don't always keep the URLs in your favorites and access it from there. Or don't keep your internet browser history uncleared or cookies uncleared for more than a week, because it could also mean that you might have tracking cookies enabled for that matter. So it's a very simple step. For those people who are not aware, just click on the tools, history, clear browsing history, and then select time range as all time, and then make sure that all of these three are selected: browsing history, cookies, and cached images and files. Thereby you're preventing your wallet being accessed from the cache. You're preventing your wallet being accessed through the stored cookies, and that will mean that it will actually hit the new DNS, and it will hit the right server all the time. And if you have any access issues, this is probably the one thing to do for any, not just for wallets or not just for crypto, for any access issues for that matter. It's probably the one thing to do, to clear your cache all the time and make sure that you keep clearing it quite frequently. At least suggested clearing time is at least once in every 3 or 4 days. Should probably do it, because cookies are very dangerous sometimes if you store it for a longer time. So we'll talk about some of the coins that did well, but before that, we need to acknowledge a coin that did not do well, or probably went down in price, which was CRO, which I talked about in my couple of episodes about crypto.com. And I even suggested in those episodes as well that the interest rates have been reduced which means that the prices are going to come down in the short term. And this has been done because they wanted to have a sustainable future, and it is going to cause a downturn for the time being at least, which is what I suggested. And the first video I made roughly around 19th of October. From that point, it was roughly around 7 rupees 30 paise. And it dropped to the lowest point, which was 4 rupees 70 paise, which was like a 40% drop, huge drop. And the last time I suggested it was around 31st of October. And from 31st of October, it probably dropped about, today's price, it probably dropped about 8%, I would say. But overall drop in the 1 month was about 40%. But in the last couple of days, from 18th of November till 20th of November, it roughly went about 20% up. It went from about 4 rupees 70 paise to 5 rupees 70 paise, almost a 1 rupee jump, like from what roughly 5 pence to about 6 pence, almost a 1 pence jump that it did, and it was almost a 20% jump. So it's basically saying that things are working, things will work out on the longer run. Obviously, you can look at it in the price chart, you can look at it in CoinStats or any other price chart for that matter. You don't need to take my word for it for any of the prices that I'm talking about. So that's a good sign. And some of the other things that they've done well is they won an award from Finance Magnets, which is a fintech industry award. So Finance Magnets is an online publication which provides, which gives out fintech awards, not just for the crypto industry, but for banking and for all fintech. And they had actually given a best crypto wallet award to crypto.com. And they also gave a best institutional crypto custodian to Coinbase. Obviously, Coinbase is another thing that we have mentioned. So this is a good recognition of the platform, good recognition of the value that they provide as a crypto wallet, which is why I call it as one of my best crypto wallets. Also, the other thing to note is Visa card. We all know how famous Visa card and MasterCards are. Visa card had come up with a program, fast track program for basically rebuilding the global economy with all the things that are happening right now. And they had acknowledged some of the partners. And in the digital currency space, they had called out like 7 of the crypto wallets or crypto agencies. And out of the 7, Crypto.com is one of the companies that they mentioned, saying that it's the company that they're working very closely with. This again goes volumes to say that how trusted Crypto.com are in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of their wallet capabilities or cryptocurrency capabilities. So that's a huge acknowledgement, something that's given by Visa card for them. And if it goes forward, it's probably going to be more value that's going to be added for the Crypto.com platform. So again, another thing is Crypto.com have also launched the Visa cards in Canada. So one more country that they've launched the Visa cards, cashback card that we talked about in our previous episodes. Again, hopefully they will also come with a card for India. So now, how did my top 2 investments do? In my episode 2, I talked about my portfolio, where I suggested I'm not a financial advisor, but I keep talking about my portfolio, so it just gives you some inspiration. So talked about how Link and ZAP are probably my top portfolios. And let's just look at how they did after my video. I posted it on the 22nd of September roughly. And from that point onwards, from about 6.60 to 10.84 yesterday, or 10.84 on 20th of November, it roughly did about 62% Link, and ZAP from about 0.04 pence to roughly about 0.06 pence, it did about 37%. So this is a span of 1 month or a couple of months that it has done about 62% in Link and 30 to 36% in ZAP. But from a lowest price point to the highest price point in the last 2 months, Link went about roughly about 600 rupees, and it crossed 1,000 rupees yesterday. So it was about 77% that it did in the last 2 months, from the lowest price point to the highest price point. And ZAP, obviously, it went from about roughly 3.5 rupees to about 6.5 rupees, roughly about 82%. Obviously, Bitcoin has also had a bull run during this time. It went about 82%, but I'm happy that the top 2 portfolios that I called out also have done phenomenally well in the last few weeks or few days, I should say. So what am I buying now? People keep asking me this question. I'm never going to suggest to anyone that you need to go and buy it, but I always say what I am buying at least, because I'm not a financial advisor. Again, I'm making this repeated point. So Band and FET haven't had that significant movement. In fact, but after I had posted my Tamil video today morning on 21st morning, it has probably done, Band has done about 20%. And FET Fetch is another good project has done about 12-13%. So when I called it out today morning, before I posted my thumbnail video, it hadn't done a significant movement as compared to the other Oracle coins like Link or ZAP. So Band is something that I was calling out because it hadn't reached even half its peak value from the August period. So FET is again a good project which had not picked up like the other cryptos during this bull run, and probably something that I was expecting to go up a little bit, and it has now. It's roughly about Band has gone up about 20%, and Fetch has gone up about 12 or 13%, and probably I think there is still potential for this to go up. And these two are the ones that I bought, where I've taken 10% of profits from my Link and ZAP from the last few days, and I've put those 10% into Band and Fed. So I'm probably not buying a lot, but still I'm expecting some of these to probably go up a little bit higher than how I would expect Link and ZAP to go up from this point. But again, it's just a profit making exercise in the end. So Band and Fed are the two new coins probably that I have invested in, along on top of my portfolio that I talked about in my episode 2. So again, the point that I keep making in all my videos is that make sure that you understand the risk. There is a high volatility in cryptos especially, and there's a lot of market risk involved. So definitely don't put the money that you need, essentially. Definitely don't put the money that you have in your savings and all of your savings, and use only like 10-20% of what you can afford to wait for a longer period. If it doesn't go up, you need to be able to afford to wait at least a few months before it can go up. So don't put money that you need for your next day survival. Absolutely not in crypto, for that matter, not in anything, I would say. So make sure you invest wisely, and make sure you have the patience to invest. So it's just a warning for everyone who wants to invest in crypto. And hopefully you found this video useful. The next video I'll probably show a demo of how you can potentially do day trading using crypto, and either manually or automatically using limit prices, and what are the tools and platforms that I use when I see an opportunity to do it. So until next time, thank you, bye.